Secretary of State Marco Rubio is being questioned by lawmakers about U.S. policy on Venezuela, and that includes the arrest of Nicolás Maduro. The question in Congress is whether the military operation is an act of war or a law enforcement act. Here's some of what we've heard so far.
It's hard for us to conceive that an operation that lasted about 4.5 hours and was a law enforcement operation to capture someone we don't recognize as a head of state, indicted in the United States, wanted with a $50 million bounty.
My question would be, if it only took 4 hours to take our president, it's very short, nobody dies on the other side, nobody dies on our side, it's perfect. Would it be an act of war?
We just don't believe that this operation comes anywhere close to the constitutional definition of war.
But would it be an act of war if someone did it to us? Nobody dies, few casualties, they're in and out. Boom, it's a perfect military operation. Would that be an act of war? Of course it would be an act of war. I'm probably the most anti-war person in the Senate, and I would vote to declare war if someone invaded our country and took our president.
Okay, let's go live now to CBS News intelligence and national security reporter Olivia Gazis. Olivia, what else stood out to you from what we've heard so far from the secretary?
Sure. Well, that hearing is still ongoing, but the dominant message so far from the secretary has been an effort to frame this moment as one of stabilization rather than actual transition. He repeatedly emphasized that those two things shouldn't be conflated because several senators had pressed him on concerns that the U.S. may effectively be trading one strongman in Nicolás Maduro for another figure from his same inner circle, Delcy Rodriguez, the former vice president who's now serving as interim president. And the secretary's response was essentially that nobody is arguing that the arrangement that exists right now should be permanent, but that political change isn't instantaneous. And he used a metaphor to say it's not like a microwave dinner that you can pop in and have it be ready in 2 minutes. It takes time. He notably declined to say how much time it should take to see a democratic transition in Venezuela, but he did suggest that the country should look meaningfully different 3, 4, 5 months from now than it does today. And you played some of that exchange between Rubio and Senator Rand Paul, who has clearly been very vocal about Congress's sole constitutional authority to declare war. That scenario about a hypothetical foreign power abducting the U.S. president, would that be considered an act of war? Rubio, in his answer, ultimately largely sidestepped the scenario, but did say that the U.S. was always going to protect and advance its own national interests.
And Olivia, you mentioned Rodriguez earlier. Can you describe the rising tensions between Rubio and the interim president, Delcy Rodriguez?
I would say that he sort of walked a line there. He struck a note of sort of cautious optimism that under Rodriguez, developments are moving in the right direction for now. And that caveat is key because there are a number of critical dynamics that are still unresolved, including whether there's continued cooperation with the United States on oil purchases, and maybe even more critically, whether Rodriguez will move to meaningfully distance Venezuela from its longstanding partnerships with China, Russia, and Iran. A number of lawmakers questioned whether that shift is actually occurring, whether it will occur at all. And again, Rubio argued that it's just too early to draw firm conclusions. He did actually point to one concrete area of cooperation, saying that under Rodriguez, Venezuela has assisted the United States in identifying these so-called shadow fleet vessels that illegally traffic oil to evade sanctions, which is new. He also spoke favorably of opposition leader Marina Corina Machado, whom Rubio said that he has known for more than a decade and who he's scheduled to meet with immediately following his testimony today.
Okay, Olivia Gazis, thank you.